Customer analysis is a critical component of any business plans. It aims to examine your consumers and determine what product or services are they most likely to buy. Customer analysis moves to three different stages. First is to identify your current customers. Delve into the details of each individual's transactions. An in-depth understanding of your customers' needs and wants will provide you with a better customer analysis. Second is to group your customers into subgroups based on their similar traits and motivations. This will inform you of the specific needs of different customer groups. And third is providing the need of each group. In this video, we're going to create a simple customer analysis in Alteryx. Our sample data is from the Shopline e-commerce account of a retail business for yoga clothing and items. We have their list of users or customers, their online orders, and their list of products. First, we are going to categorize customers based on their total spend. Some pre-cleansing done was to convert the total spend to a numerical value and remove any symbols. Then we need to feed this to a tile tool. We have configured it to a smart tile method by the column total spend. This will tile the data based on three different levels of standard deviation of the total spend column. Then, we will mark the output as either high, mid, or low, and either no spend on a separate formula tool. Next, we're going to group the customers based on the products they usually buy. Before heading straight to the analysis, first we need to add a product category and subcategory based on certain keywords. On this text input, we have listed the category and subcategory and up to 4 keywords each. Then by using a find and replace tool, we will append the fields based on the text that they found within the description. Once done, we will join the product data back to the transactions or orders by SKU. Additional steps that was included was parsing the order date and sorting the data by order number and customer. Since we wanted to look at the total quantity of items bought by customer per category, we used the summarize tool to group it by category, item payment, quantity, and by customer. Then we used a cross tab to generate a separate column per category. The output will then have a column called accessories, bottoms, props, and tops with quantity as the value. Then we need to make sure that there are no null values on these columns so as not to generate an error on our analysis. To do so, we created a function on this multi-field formula tool. It will put a 0 on every null values on the following fields. After doing those steps, we can now cluster the data using the K-Centroid's cluster analysis tool. We set it up to look at the category fields that we populated with the quantity bought, selected k-means as the clustering method, and set the number of clusters to 4. But do take note that you also need to study the appropriate number of clusters for your data by using a K-Centroid's diagnostics tool. From our output, we can see that cluster number 1 usually buys bottoms and tops, cluster number 2 prefers props, cluster number 3 buys tops, bottoms, and props, and cluster number 4 likes tops. After that, we can append the cluster number using the append cluster tool. And once done, we can now mark this by preferred cluster using a formula tool. Another thing we could do with this dataset is to determine what specific products can be sold as a bundle. We can do so by utilizing the market basket analysis tool. We have pointed the tool to our transaction ID as the key field and subcategory as the item identifier. We also selected the a priori association rules as the method to use. The MBA rules tool will take this transactional data and create association between the items. The output of this tool can also be further investigated by using an MB inspect tool. It can set the minimum and maximum levels that you need for each association. The following concepts are used in market basket analysis. First is support. This is the proportion of transactions that contains the item. Next is confidence. This is the number of transactions that contains both items on the association. And lastly is lift, which shows how likely the items are bought together. If the lift is less than 1, it's more likely to be bought as an individual, but if it's greater, it's more likely bought as a pair. In our example, we set the minimum lift to 1.2, and then we sorted it by lift on a sort tool. In our dataset, we can see that hoodies are bought together with tank tops. Using this information, businesses can select which products can be sold as a pair or as a bundle. Once we're done with our categorization and analysis, we can now join our data and save our output to a file or to a table.